What's up, everybody? Welcome once again. It's Syracuse Basketball Postgame. It's presented by Krause Health. We're live here on the Syracuse Orange Basketball Facebook page and live on Syracuse Orange Sports on YouTube, off the heels of a pretty impressive win for Syracuse basketball tonight at the Carrier Dome. They beat Clemson 91-78, the final score. So the Orange bounced back from that loss to Florida State on Saturday, and they improved to 9-9 on the season as Syracuse just kind of continues to ride that 500 line. They're above 500, they're below 500, they are 500, whatever the case may be. And this one being 9-9, so they're back at the 500 line. Clemson loses its fourth game in 5 days, their third in a row. And there are two words that really describe this win for Syracuse tonight: efficient, consistent. Syracuse was efficient through the game, start to finish. We'll go over the numbers here shortly, but they shot very well. Joe Girard in particular shot very well. Buddy Boeheim led Syracuse with 25 points. Girard with 23 points on the night. Jesse Edwards with a double-double, 15 points, 11 rebounds, 4 block shots. What a battle he had inside with P.J. Hall, by the way, from Clemson. Jimmy Boeheim with a quiet double-double, 13 points and 10 rebounds on the night. And Syracuse was consistent in this game, too. That's the other big thing from this one, in that typically what we see is Syracuse kind of fade a little bit in the second half after having a big first half. That was not the case tonight. Syracuse was consistent from wire to wire, really one of the more efficient and consistent games of the entire season. And look at that, folks. Jim Boeheim, he doesn't do chemistry experiments, right? Well, he kind of did in this game. Mixed up the lineup in the first half. Symir Torrance and that three-guard lineup show up in the first half. Barama Sidibe, welcome back, Barama. Been a while since we've seen him in the game. He's healthy enough to get out there and give Syracuse some minutes. Frank Anselm gets in the first half. And yes, folks, Benny Williams played a basketball game for Syracuse tonight and had a great block shot. So everybody that got on the court contributed for Syracuse tonight. Some terrific comments are already starting to flow in there. Make sure you tell us where you're watching from tonight. Antonio, one of our West Coast viewers, enjoying the convenient time for our West Coast friends, right? But wherever you're watching tonight, Matt, loving it. Great win. That's how they'll win games. Superior offense. And Duke is up next, folks. And as David notes here, that is a close game. We'll keep tabs on that one here live on the postgame show. I don't think Syracuse, really wants a ticked off Duke team on Saturday. But man, if Syracuse plays like this, they can give Duke a run. And remember, Miami, who throttled North Carolina tonight, just clubbed North Carolina tonight, is a team that Syracuse had an 18-point lead on, only lost by 1. So at the very least, it's been a weird up and down season, and there's been some things with Syracuse basketball, as we've talked about here on the post-game show, that have been a source of frustration. But at the very least, they're playing as well as they can be going into that Duke game. They played Miami, one of the best teams in the league, tough, and Florida State, who is, could pull off the upset here. We'll keep an eye on the score. You guys keep an eye on the score too, and tell us what it is in the comments as we go here. Syracuse nearly beat on Saturday. This is a wide open league, and look, Syracuse has its flaws. Wasn't the best defensive night for either team, frankly, but this is how Syracuse is going to win games, as efficient and consistent in offensive performance as we've had. Jeff, thank you for betting Clemson tonight and giving Syracuse the win. The Jeff karma tonight really helping out the Orange. Lori says, nice game. Good to see the bench getting some playing time, and watching from Sacramento, another West Coast viewer out there. Vince is checking in from Fort Myers, Florida. Hope it's warm down there, Vince. It's about 14 degrees outside my window, which has been downright balmy, frankly, considering what we've seen snow-wise, cold-wise the past couple of days here in central New York. But hey, it's winter. That's how it goes. Tyler's got all the emojis going there. David says it best here, too. 9 players tonight, folks. It's like the principal from Ferris Bueller. 9 times. 9 players get in the game for Syracuse. It's unbelievable. And as Greg notes here, Jesse Edwards played a big part of tonight's win, and he really did. Looks like that Duke-Florida State game is going to go to overtime, by the way. So we'll keep an eye on that as we're doing the post-game show. So let's look at the numbers. And the word that comes to mind here is efficient, consistent, and productive. I mean, a lot of different words come to mind here. Syracuse 31 of 58, 53% from the field. Clemson shot the ball well too, 31 of 63, 49%. So anytime you can top a team that's shooting 49%, it shows you the kind of night they're having. I felt like this game would come down to the 3-point line, and Syracuse got one more from distance than Clemson. 9 of 22, that's 40%. Clemson was 8 of 27, that's 29%. Syracuse 20 of 26 at the free throw line, 77%. Clemson right on their tail there at 72%. 8 of 11 from the free throw line. Syracuse got to the line a bunch more than Clemson tonight. Syracuse has out-rebounded all its ACC opponents. That's got to be the most stunning stat of the year, frankly, for Syracuse. This is a team that just doesn't do that. If they do, it's like a game here or there, but 6 straight games out-rebounding the opponent, and it really mattered tonight. Syracuse with 9 offensive rebounds, but where they've struggled is on the defensive rebounding end, and Syracuse outboarded Clemson there 30-22. Syracuse with 13 assists on the night. Clemson did move the ball better with 22 assists. Ultimately didn't matter in that case. There was one concern I think you had to have early for Syracuse, and they were turning the ball over a lot. And Clemson got 17 points off Syracuse's 10 turnovers. It looked like Syracuse was really in a rut there. Cole Swider in particular, he's really the one guy that had a bad night for Syracuse. He turned the ball over a bunch in this one. Tight in the paint, 38-36, as Jesse Edwards and P.J. Hall went at it. So that's a look at some of the team numbers here. Individually, I mean, there's just a lot that pops off the page here. You start with Buddy Boeheim, who had 25 points. He was 4 of 9 from three-point range, 9 of 19 shooting overall. He grabs 5 rebounds on the night, too. What a bounce-back game for Joe Girard. Remember, Syracuse had to go to that small lineup, the 3-guard lineup against Florida State the other night because Girard couldn't get the ball up the court. The pressure defense that Florida State play, it's kind of like a slow drip throughout the game, really got to him. They had to go to the 3-guard lineup. Because of that, much better game for Joe. He was aggressive from the outset offensively. 23 points on the night, 5 assists on the night. Joe, a blistering 4 of 5 from 3-point range. Pulled off the quick trigger a lot with just, kind of a couple dribbles, bing, bang, boom, top of the key. Much more confident on the offensive end tonight for Joe. Very impressive game for him. Jesse Edwards, as mentioned in the comments there, man, what a game for him. 15 points, 11 rebounds, 4 block shots. And, of course, he had to foul out of the game because that's just what Jesse Edwards does. 6 of the last 7 games he's fouled out. But it's a matter of when, right? If he spreads out the fouls efficiently and, isn't piling them up early and leaving a game with 8-9 minutes to go, got a few quick ones at the end of the game. Just one of those things that Jesse does. But he was terrific. The battle he had with P.J. Hall inside was something. P.J. Hall, folks, if you watch the game, absolutely posterized Jesse on one play. But Jesse played angry. He played hard. He was aggressive around the hoop. It was great. The free throw line tonight. Let's see where he ended up. 7 of 10. Jesse to go 7 of 10. You'll take 70% from Jesse Edwards at the free throw line. Just a terrific, terrific game. And what a player. And folks, with all the talk, and we'll get to the bench play getting some run today, which I love to see. And I'm sure a lot of you love to see. We were saying free Jesse at this time last year. And, whether you agree or disagree with Jim Boeheim's philosophy on developing players, younger players, Jesse is just tearing it up now. And I think you got to harken back to last year, not putting too much on his plate, letting him develop at his own pace, not getting overwhelmed. And now, this guy's on the way to being one of the best players at his position in the ACC and could be all ACC next year. So hell of an effort tonight from Jesse Edwards. You love to see it. But Jimmy Boeheim, kind of a quiet double-double, cleaned up a lot of misses. And, he had 9 defensive rebounds on the night. Great effort on the boards, 13 points for Jimmy. You got to give him a shout out there. We mentioned really the one guy who struggled was Cole Swider. He had 7 points, but 5 turnovers. Just made some really just not smart plays. He really struggled, and he had a pretty efficient shooting night against Florida State the other night. Just didn't have it in this one. Cole's always going to give you some rebounds, and he got 7 on the night for the Orange, but you'd have to say he struggled. So the big surprise was in the first half. Symir Torrance comes in, and Symir Torrance, a couple of nice moves to the basket. He had not been somebody that Syracuse had counted on the offensive end, certainly. He has 4 points, gives Syracuse 14 quality minutes, 2 assists. Didn't really rack up the assists as usual, but I don't think Clemson saw that coming with Symir taking the ball to the hoop. We mentioned Barama Sidibe getting in there. He scores 2 points, plays just 2 minutes, but great to see him back on the court. Hopefully he's recovering from his injury. Frank Anselm gets a little run early. So to look at a Syracuse box score and see 9 players on the court, got to make the fans happy out there. And as efficient and as it was a great game. As I love this, Mickey checking in from the home of Roosevelt Bowie, Kendall, New York. There you go. Fantastic. But as we were saying there, the bench play got used. Everybody contributed, maybe with the exception of Cole, but like we said, even he got 7 rebounds in a bad night. They mixed up the bench. They shot well from 3-point range. They shot well overall. They didn't play much defense. They made a couple of defensive plays out there, but again, I don't think anybody's really expecting that. And to get that kind of confidence boost at this point, Syracuse really needed it. They want to be feeling as good as they can be going into Cameron Indoor Stadium on Saturday. And as we check in on that game, Duke is up on Florida State 71-70. So one way or the other, Duke's going to be coming off a pretty intense game against Florida State. And as Jimmy says, this team can score. They really can score. And, you know, the other night, Syracuse had 4 players in double figures, and that's always good news for the Orange. They're 8-3 coming into this game with 4 players in double figures. It happens again tonight. Boeheim, Edwards, Girard in doubles. So Syracuse improves that record to 9-3 when they get 4 guys in double figures. But the difference was the boost you got from Girard. As Michael Antonio checks in from Florida, Syracuse played with poise tonight. They played with confidence tonight. Dale notes it here from PA. Good effort from Jesse, Buddy, Joe, and Symir Torrance in this one. When Syracuse gets on a roll, and I said this before the game, you know, you kind of get a feeling about certain games and how they could go, and Clemson wasn't the best defensive team in the world, and they counted so much on threes. I said the best thing that can happen for Syracuse in this game and this matchup was just play the game. And I know that sounds simple, but what has happened with Syracuse is, here's another example of it tonight. When they win games, now you go back to, there was a 2-game stretch early in the season. They play Indiana in the ACC Big Ten Challenge in double overtime, crazy game, 112-110, where they, you know, just played the game back and forth, and it was just who's got the ball last kind of thing. Then they play Florida State the next game, and it's 63-60. It's a tight game, right? Since then, when you look at the Syracuse schedule, if they win, they're winning by a comfortable margin. They beat Pitt the other night, 77-61. They beat, you know, teams like Cornell and Brown and some of those squads by, you know, margins that are comfortable. It's the tight games where they've struggled because their last 5 losses, including Florida State the other night, are by 5 points or less. So they just can't get that final play. Something has been a mental block there, or they just can't execute, or Joe Girard's throwing the ball away like the other night. When Syracuse can just play and flow and not think, just keep it simple, get it to the open man, this is what they do. You know, we highlighted the comment from Jimmy a moment ago about this team just scores. When they're efficient like this, they're confident, use the word that we highlighted as well, when they're poised like this. And it looked like maybe they were going to turn the ball over a bunch in the first half at times. But, you know, being at home certainly helped. Not the greatest crowd at the Dome tonight, but they had an entertaining game to watch. And how about this, guys? It was just fun. It was just fun to watch a Syracuse basketball game, right? Like the Pitt game was fun in its own way because they won a game and they kind of needed to do it. But this was an entertaining game to watch. A lot of offense, a fun basketball game to watch. Checked all the boxes you want. Got to see Benny Williams play. And what a block he made, by the way. Got to see Symir Torrance out there mix up the bench. You know, here's another word. We talked about efficient, consistent, productive. How about satisfying? You know, a satisfying win for the Orange, and a little bit of an exhale here for Syracuse fans that have just watched so many, tight games and the tension and just watching this team. They still struggle in close opportunities. And I don't think you're going to beat Duke like this, right? If you're going to beat Duke, which is certainly possible. I mean, Duke's great. Duke's always great, but Syracuse has proven through the years they can beat Duke even when you don't see it coming. Duke vulnerable tonight to Florida State. Syracuse ran with the best team in the ACC, and you can make the argument Miami is the best team in the ACC. They beat Duke. The fact that Miami is not ranked is a joke, by the way. I mean, I don't know what AP voters are looking at there. I've been an AP voter for football. I know what that process is like. It's a little different for basketball, but how are they not ranked? I mean, people were complaining North Carolina wasn't ranked, and Miami trucked them today. They're certainly going to be now. But look, when Syracuse plays like this, they at the very least can play with anybody, right? But it's in those tight situations where they've really struggled. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. A lot of you guys keeping an eye on that Duke game. I'm keeping an eye on it myself. So we got 36 seconds left in overtime at this moment, and it's 78-77. If Florida State, had last I looked before doing the post-game show here and kind of coming down the stretch, they were up by 7-8 points in the second half there. So, Duke, as you would expect Duke to do, came back in that one. And now it's coming down to the wire in overtime as well. And one way or the other, Syracuse is going to get a Duke team coming off an intense game against Florida State. Matt notes this here. Past Duke-Syracuse games have flowed really well. I expect the same thing this go around for Cuse to win. It'll be a high-scoring game. Matt, it's a great point because as we got 78-78 now, live scoring updates as we go. You guys doing a great job with that, keeping us updated here. As Duke with the foul here with about 12.3 seconds to go. But Matt, you make a great point. And the word is flow, right? These Syracuse-Duke games have just been shootouts. Nobody plays defense in these games, right? Think of some of the scores Syracuse and Duke have played in the past. So if Syracuse kind of found what it needed against Clemson tonight, Duke's a better defensive team, has better talent. Cameron Indoor. I don't believe the students are back yet at Cameron. I could be mistaken on that. I know a lot of schools have pushed back semesters. Syracuse actually was supposed to start this week back for the spring semester. They pushed that back till next week. One way, the crowd's going to be crazy at Cameron. I believe the students will be back for that game coming up, but you're playing the way you want to play if you're Syracuse, and we got to win for it's coming in. Here we go, you guys. Noting it here, it is final. Florida State wins. Oh, so we're going to get Duke. Yep, 79-78. Final score, Florida State knocks off Duke in overtime. So Duke falls to 14-2 on the season, Florida State. So we got a couple of big wins tonight in the ACC. Miami throttles North Carolina. Florida State takes down Duke. So now the Orange are going to get a Duke team coming off a pretty intense game. Florida State finds a way to win. And Michael Antonio says it here. Duke's going to be pissed. We're in trouble. Hey, they might be ticked off after a game like this, but Syracuse maybe showed, this is what we can do and this is what we need to do to keep up with the Duke team. And there's something about when Syracuse and Duke get together. Now, Duke's had some significant wins over the Orange too, but the games do flow and they are high scoring. And Joe Girard loves those big crowds. Can he kind of carry the momentum from today? Buddy Boeheim found a way to get open. Duke's going to shut him down. Certainly, they're going to try as best as they can. Jesse Edwards is the difference here. And he's going to have a heck of a matchup with Paulo Banchero for Duke. PJ Hall, nice player. Nowhere near on the same level as Banchero. So that's going to be a matchup to watch. Jesse's got to stay out of foul trouble in that game. You got to get the 3-point shots. You got to get more bench play. I think Boeheim was smart to get some other people incorporated here because you're not going to beat Duke with a short lineup. You got to throw everything you can at a team like Duke. So getting those players out there, getting them familiar. I mean, you can't have Benny coming in cold after not having played for 3 games. He got some run tonight. So always fun, right? When Syracuse and Duke get together, and we'll see what happens on Saturday. As I'm just kind of catching up here on Duke, Florida State. We got the final in 79-78. Man, we had some great games in the ACC tonight. Give me 1 second here, guys, as I'm just looking up something about that game coming up here on Saturday. You guys doing a great job in the comments here and keeping us up on something. Give me 1 second here, guys, because I just want to see where we're at here. Okay. Just had to fix something on my screen there. So, yeah, the Duke's Duke. And this is a Duke team that for a while looked like they were kind of here and everybody in the ACC was way down here. Miami, you can make the argument, is better than Duke. Maybe not better roster-wise, but they beat them. So Miami's got a case to be at least in the conversation with Duke as the best team in the ACC. North Carolina looked like they were making a run, but they got clubbed tonight by this Miami team. So they got to take a step back. Florida State making the case, right, after what happened tonight and making that run against Duke and winning that game in overtime. Big statement win for Florida State. And look, Syracuse has played every team we noted there tough that they've had on their schedule so far. They lost by 1 to Miami. They blew an 18-point lead in that game, but, gave Miami a big run. A couple of bad plays at the end of the Florida State game, but they were in that one. So, let's not paint Duke to be this way out of reach team that's just going to, flick Syracuse off its shoulder like it's a fly or something like that. They've been proven to hang in these games. And if Syracuse can kind of find the same magic they had tonight, not going to be easy, obviously, but they're capable of going on an offensive run like that, and at least hanging in games like this. So let's keep checking in on you guys here in the comments. As Michael Antonio says, if Syracuse can get lucky and beat Duke, they're back in the hunt. Listen, if you can beat Duke, that's as big of a quality win as you're going to get, especially on the road. Okay. You beat Duke at Cameron. That's everything. That's perception. And I know Duke lost tonight, so there'll be a little sting coming in, but that's a quad one win, huge win on the road. If you could pull that off, if you're Syracuse, it's everything. So you're at least back in the conversation. It's going to take a lot more than that, but there's just not a ton of quality opportunities left on the schedule for Syracuse. North Carolina's there, another matchup with Duke, a few other games that could fall into the quad one category. The problem with Syracuse is they've got to go on a run. They've got to go on a sustained winning streak. And this is not a team that's built to do that because the way they play defense. Like, we saw the most efficient game Syracuse can play tonight. They can't do that night in and night out, right? They haven't won more than 2 games in a row all season. That Duke win would be massive for a lot of different reasons, but then you got to follow it up at some point with a 4 or 5 game winning streak. Syracuse's only hope to get to the NCAA tournament at this point, honestly, even if they beat Duke on Saturday, is to win the ACC tournament. And this is not a team that's built to win 4 or 5 games in a row at this point. Can they get there? I mean, what do we got? 13, 14 games left here in the ACC regular season. The NCAA tournament starts about 2 months from now. Feels like a lot of time, but it's going to go by quicker than you think. But always great when Syracuse and Duke get together. These have turned into as close to a rivalry game as you can get. One of 2 last matchups between Jim Boeheim and Mike Krzyzewski, the 2, longest tenured coaches, 2 winningest coaches in college basketball, the great friends as well. It's going to be a heck of a scene when Boeheim and Krzyzewski face off in the Dome. It'll be interesting to see the Dome packed because it just hasn't been the case this year. Understandably, it's a weird world out there. COVID restrictions going on, and Syracuse for a while had a lot of food restrictions and things going on at the Dome. They've had a lot of Tuesday night games. They do have a bunch of weekend games still on the way as well. Crowd was great for Florida State in terms of as loud as they've been, but probably only about 14, 15,000 people there. So, what you typically see on those weekend games in ACC play is at least 20 to 22,000 butts and seats. Just hasn't been there this year. The Duke game is going to have 30,000 plus, no doubt about it. But if this team can go on a little bit of a run, maybe we'll see the crowds perk up a little bit but have not been a typical Syracuse crowds, but been a lot of less than 10,000 people at the Dome. So it's interesting thinking about and talking about that Duke game. We'll be back at 30,000 plus in the Dome, but that might be the only game this year where that could be the case. Al thinks that 10 wins in the ACC would be enough, need the bench if games are compressed. See, I'm not sure if 10 wins in the ACC is enough, Al, to be honest with you, because what wins are they? If that includes Duke, that's obviously really going to help your case. But 10 wins in the ACC used to be enough. Remember, Syracuse was held out of the tournament after they had 10 conference wins. Now, that was in the Big East when they got snubbed that one year. And I believe when they got snubbed in 2017, I think they had 10 wins in conference that year as well, if I'm not mistaken. The quad system and the way things are put together now, it's not just, hey, you won 10 wins in a great conference. The ACC is down this year. They're going to look at what are those wins. And Syracuse is nothing in non-conference play. The Colgate and Georgetown losses are really going to burn them. So 10 wins isn't what it used to be. It's who you beat. Who are those 10 wins? And if that includes Duke, hey, that'll separate you from the pack on the bubble, as Syracuse always tends to find a way to do it. Let's see here. Yeah, Brian, unfortunately, attendance has been pretty sad this year, and there's a number of reasons for that. But hopefully, as things kind of lighten up here, and we'll see what happens with the COVID situation. Omicron, thankfully, seems to be winding down here, and people are doing what they got to do and safety measures and trying to kind of figure out life around this thing. But hopefully, we see some bigger crowds at the Dome going forward for sure. Doesn't feel the same unless you got like 23,000 people at these regular ACC games. And of course, the big ones, the event games like Duke and such. We got to see those typical big time college basketball crowds. Michelle, not a fan of the quad system. I go back and forth on that, guys. What I like about the quad system is it tells you exactly where you are. They separate it out. Maybe you can have a beef with how they do the quad system. What I like about it is it tells you exactly what you need to do. And it takes a little bit of mystery out of it, because it used to be just this committee, all these people in a room deciding who goes in, and we weren't really sure what their criteria was. Now we know exactly what it is. You can look ahead and say, these are the games that you have to win, that are important, and where they rank and what they are. I kind of like that data. I kind of like knowing what the plan is, as opposed to, hey, we think this win's good enough, but it's up to the committee kind of thing. And the committee still has some pull and some power, obviously. But at least the quad system makes it more clear what exactly the committee's looking at. So, hey, maybe we're getting ahead of ourselves here, folks, because long way to go for the Orange on that. But tonight, pretty impressive win for Syracuse. A consistent and efficient performance against the Clemson Tigers at the Dome. We'll wrap it up there, friends. Always appreciate you coming by. So Syracuse and Duke, that is a noon start on Saturday. Quite the contrast from tonight as we're approaching midnight after this one, but that's a noon tip-off. So our postgame coverage, as we're doing now, about 2 o'clock or so on Saturday afternoon. Again, you can watch live on Syracuse Orange on our Facebook page, Syracuse Orange Sports on YouTube. If you do miss the show live, though, just a reminder that you can watch the YouTube clip. I embedded in my recap on syracuse.com. We'll send it out on our social media channels. It automatically embeds on our Facebook page. Easy to catch in case you do miss the show live, and always appreciate when you can come by. But in case you want to catch the replay, lots of places to get it. Thanks to Krause Health, as always, for sponsoring. Thanks to you. Great conversation. Thanks for keeping us updated on that Duke Florida State game in real time. Great comments, questions, as always, my friends. Let's come back and do it again Saturday after a big one. Syracuse and Duke, round 1 for the 2022 season. In the meantime, Syracuse beats Clemson 91-78 and improves to 9-9 on the season. This has been Syracuse Basketball Postgame here, presented by Krause Health. And we'll talk to you next time.